Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about something which is, you can call it a side effect of that happens when you take steroids, or it's kind of something that can happen. And I've heard people talk about this in the past, but I think it's something that isn't talked about enough. So I'm going to make a whole video about this, which is, I believe, when you start taking steroids, like say you start blasting, within the first month or so, your body starts changing, right? And I believe that there's a much higher risk of injury during this time period, where you're going to get some degree of muscle strain or spasm. But the strain's going to be the dangerous one, because that's where you can literally snap some shit up if you're not careful. Snap shit up being like you're going to tear your muscle or tendon. There's different types of tears. You could be straight off the bone. I've heard people, I'm a massage therapist, who they're just playing tennis and they just did a lunge in their muscle, just their gastrocs, their calf muscle just snapped right in half. Now, obviously, they might not be on steroids, but I think steroids increases the chance of this type of injury for a number of reasons. But particularly like things like Masteron, I think once that kind of dry the muscle out, I think I suspect being a little bit more of a bit more of a culprit when it comes to things like this. And I know because I've experienced it myself. Even things like when I like scratch my back or something, and I reach my arm behind my back, and I I don't say tear something, but I tweak something. You tweak muscles a lot easier, I find. Whatever reason, your muscles are tighter. They're just more, I think they're more susceptible to injury for at least a while. Eventually, they might kind of get a little better, but I think it's when you first start blasting, whether it's because your muscles are being a bit more fuller, maybe it's because your muscles are a bit more stronger than what the tendon is used to. But it's just adjusted. It needs to be acclimatized, okay? And later in this video, I'm going to suggest some strategies on how to do this, how to cope with it, this type of injury, to prevent the injury anyway from happening. Because that's kind of up my alley as far as what I do for a living. But I'll go into more of like what I believe is happening. Like I was saying, things like you get more of a pump, right? When we get more of a pump, muscles fuller, right? There's a lot more, the forces within the muscle are not like what they're used to, okay? I believe that's going to be one of the major things, contributing factors about it, that your muscles are fuller and tighter. Again, especially with the Masteron. And you have to be careful when you're doing movements that are kind of outside like the range of like what is normal range of movement. So like when you start going outside of the range, like for example, like a shoulder extension, GH joint extension height, there might be some higher risk for injury. So when you're doing shoulder press or something like that, behind the back types of things, you really got to be careful when it's in a potential compromised state and you're doing something heavy. And when people start blasting, they start increasing their weight, right? Because they want to put on strength and size. And maybe they're starting to, hit some PRs in the gym, or at least seeing the strength benefits, but their tendons are still weak compared to the muscle. Tendon take a little bit more time to strengthen up than the muscle strength from the steroids. So and the the tendon is like where they meet, right there, the intersection is where a lot of the tears can happen, okay? Not just in the muscle belly itself, they can also happen in the tendon as well, and also the tendon pulling off the bone, like an avulsion fracture. Well, I believe that's going to be more rare for this type of situation, but that could be a possibility as well. So I think some things that and these are things that I do personally, and there's just my own strategies. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the main thing is you want to keep, I believe, hydrated more, keep a good fluid balance within your body. I believe that's going to help prevent, especially things like spasmings to happen, because a spasm could cause a tear as well. And say you're doing a heavy bench press and you start spasming, it might like throw you off, and then you might tear some shit up, right? So you got to be careful. you definitely got to be careful, and so keep hydrated is going to be the one thing. Second thing is do proper kind of warm up. I wouldn't suggest doing like heavy stretching before an activity, but at least get moving a bit. Do warm up sets is going to be key. You don't just go into something heavy right cold. You got to warm things up a bit. Do a little bit of motion, maybe some elastic band. Especially things like the shoulder, because it's going to be those muscles like the rotator cuff muscles, which I think are going to be susceptible to injury. But as well other ones like pec muscle, etc. Like if on the bench press, that could be a dangerous one as well. So yeah, just warm up, light stretching, maybe a little bit beforehand. The other thing is when you start a blast, I would recommend for the first month at least, like don't go heavy. Like sure you can progressive overload a little bit, but it's like just condition your muscles first, like, or at least before you start blasting, really start conditioning the muscles. But then when you, for a month or so, don't try to push too heavy. Maybe do more volume, I'm gonna say, right? Because everybody wants to get on the blast, and it's like, okay, I'm increasing strength. You're gonna want to increase the amount of weight you're pushing real quick, and then and especially with things like if you're taking like Anadrol or something, but same with something like Nandrolone, your strength starts to noticeably increase pretty quick. So it's like you start want to put some more plates on, you know what I mean, pack it on the weight, or put more stacking up, doing more full stacks of weights and whatnot, and that's potentially where a lot of injury is going to happen. So be careful, because like I said, the whole point of this video is I think you're more susceptible to injury when you start the blast, right, that first month. So then, okay, so for the first month or so, just take it easy. That's going to be the main thing. Warm up, hydrate, etc. There's a few other supplements, like I think like taurine or something that can help with cramping and whatever. I already don't even want to go there. So I don't even think it's totally necessary. You just have a healthy diet. I don't think it really matters anyway. You could be like, you can take things that prevent cramping and tearing and such, and shit can still happen. So yeah, I think that's going to be the main things. Now, once you hit the second month of things, you warm up, then you can start putting on the strength, because I believe your tendons are going to catch up in that second month to your muscles, especially, and the muscles itself are going to be conditioned to push or pull more weight. So month 2, but you still got to be careful, obviously proper form, and but obviously you're taking steroids, so you want to, and if you're strength training specifically, you obviously will want to start stacking on some plates by that point. So it's going to be understandable. Just note that injury can still happen, but like I said, like for the stupidest little things, like I don't know, reaching down for something, or reaching behind my back for something and wiping your ass type of thing, reaching behind, it's like, oh, I tear, like, or like I tweak a muscle. It's like shit like that doesn't happen when I'm cruising as much, nearly as much. Okay, and I noticed that before when I was doing bench press. One of the last blasts I did, just doing a normal bench press, but I was doing a little bit heavier and then tweak something. I just believe there's a lot higher risk for injury in that first month, I'm going to say, because things are starting to change in your body. You're going from a not as strong state, not as big state, to a big state really quickly if you're doing a proper blast. So yeah, I think but I think this is something that is relatively well known. It's just I don't think it's talked about as much, and it's something that I want to address because I'm just starting to blast myself, so I'm reminding myself just take it easy this first month, do a bit more volume. Obviously progressive overload, I'm going to add like 10 pounds or so here and there onto some of my exercises, but don't go too crazy that first. Don't start maxing out your first month blasting, maybe. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys. Leave in the comment section below what you think about this video. Always peace.